Welcome to the Business Bites Podcast, the podcast for busy entrepreneurs. Whether you're an online entrepreneur or seeking after brick and mortar success, this podcast brings you quick bites of content so you can learn and grow anywhere you are. Now here's your host, Rachel Brainke.
This episode of the Business Bites is going to be another one of those episodes where I give you permission to do something. Not that you guys need it at all, and not that I'm necessarily anybody that should be giving permission, but I want to talk to you as a business owner to business owner, entrepreneur to entrepreneur. I have my cup of coffee here, and I'm just going to imagine as though you and I are hanging out, drinking our cup of coffee, and chit-chatting, because I see one of these major issues that can mentally impact entrepreneurs in their business and impacts them on a personal level, and it ends up creeping into their business as well. But before I get into that, I do want to share, I can't stand donuts. I am probably one of the only people on the face of the planet who does not care for donuts. I think it's because I grow up eating them so much. Not that my parents force-fed them to me. You just seem to always have like donuts and pastries when you went to functions and church and all sorts of different things. And I was always all about them. And then I guess I just kind of grew to resent the taste. I don't know if that was even the right word for it, but now even looking at a picture of a donut, I can feel and taste, and it almost makes my teeth hurt. But I eat them when they're offered, even still. Even though that my stomach hurts at the thought and my teeth ache, I still eat them when someone offers them to me. It's not because I want them, or want to eat them rather, but because I don't want to offend people. But really in the end, who do I end up hurting? I end up only hurting myself. My stomach ends up hurting. I end up taking in wasted calories, and I have that nasty crumbly taste left in my mouth at the end. And the person who offered me the donuts probably doesn't even care if I ate it anyways. They probably were just being nice to offer it to me. But I care because I'm so afraid that they're going to be offended. And I find that sometimes I do things in business that are very similar to this. I'll make that business connection with somebody, even if it doesn't really benefit either of us. And maybe not to the extreme that being in that business network is going to make me sick to my stomach or make my teeth ache or anything like that. But it doesn't really benefit either of us, but I'm afraid to say no because I'm afraid to hurt someone's feelings or offend them or cut off a potential business relationship in the future. Or I might end up promising to promote a friend because I'm afraid they won't want to be my friend in return. This is really difficult for especially solopreneurs, but I think anyone who's starting their business, because you want to attract people to you. You want people to buy into you. You want them to like you. And I think oftentimes we feel so impassioned and intertwined with our business, we forget to separate the two. We forget that people can be friends with us as a person without buying into or doing something with our business that could potentially be detrimental for us, even if it benefits the other person. And a lot of it is not only just this idea that we forget that we are separate from our business, no matter how much you are your brand. I mean, you guys are listening to me. You know by now that Business Bites is part of the Rachel Brainke brand. So you get me, but there's also a personal me that I have to make sure that I separate out here as well and be able to think, okay, this person's not necessarily not going to be my friend because I tell them no in business. And this is something I consciously have to tell myself a lot, because the number one incentive, I guess, or reason that we end up falling into these traps and eating these donuts or making commitments or saying yes to things that we wish we hadn't is because of fear. Fear of failure. We're afraid our business is going to fall apart if that person doesn't buy into us. It's totally irrational, but especially when you're in the startup phase or you're working with people who are very close to you on a personal basis, or who are very well known in the industry that you're in and that you feel like would be a good relationship. I mean, they could help your business even if it wouldn't necessarily be a good relationship or beneficial for you. And so I just caution you guys to not let fear override your sensibilities, because it's going to leave a wake of a nasty taste in your mouth. You're going to end up being in a business partnership or selling to someone because you are on a friendly basis with them or merely because you don't want to offend them. And I think that it's really important that we separate ourselves as much as possible, put fear aside, and try to look at it from an objective standpoint. If you've listened to any of my other podcasts, I talk about what I refer as my 3-to-1 rule. Like, I totally need to just like package this thing, but I'm just going to tell it to you guys here again. Because I apply it in the same way to this because it helps me to reduce that fear that I feel when I want to tell somebody no. It helps me to separate myself out from my business self, but it gives me a little bit of a backbone so I don't succumb to either of those aspects and end up eating the donut. So with the 3-to-1 rule, I look in it's supposed to be an objective standard, really. I'm looking at the situation, such as a business network, and I need to see if I'm going to make or a new project or whatever it is, and I write down a list of 3 positives, and then I try to see how many negatives. And if I have 3 positives to every 1 negative, assuming that they're all relatively going to have the same effect on me, I may make a decision to move forward with that business decision, getting into a business network, take it on a new project. But it's not a hard set rule because I may have all these positives over here, but if I have really one big negative, such as, especially when you have friends in business or your friends are wanting to hire you for something, if that one big negative could be the fact that it could potentially destroy or impact the personal relationship that we had previously, that's something that's going to make me go, I don't think this is a good thing for us to do. I know with myself being in the situation that I'm in with business consulting and legal, I have to evaluate this a lot of times. And because I just know that mixing friends and business is really difficult, just because it could end up hurting a personal relationship. So I always put that on the negative side that we're friends, just because it could have that potential detrimental impact. So I share this with you guys because I want you to be able to utilize this rule so that you can say no or not now to the donut. I think that's really important distinction to make, is that just because someone offers something to you doesn't mean you have to take it, but it also doesn't mean you have to say no. And you could say not now. And I prefer more of the not now standpoint when it comes to maybe non-friends, and they're in the industry, but I'm not necessarily sure how our brands would fit together, and maybe I just need a little bit more time to evaluate. I fall more into the not now camp, and I can facilitate that relationship still with that business partner or that business network, but I'm not shutting it off to say no, but I'm able to say not now so that we can wait to see if we get to the point that we are good as business partners or networks together. But from those that are friends that come to me, even if the 3-to-1 rule looks really good, but that one negative of them being friends and the possible detriment of our personal relationship, I'm probably going to fall more into the no camp. But again, this all is very specific on what is being asked or what is being offered to you. I mean, it could be that they're offering me something that I really like. They could be offering me French fries or sweet potato fries. I am a fry girl all the way. I'll take fries over donuts anytime. So if they're offering me something like that, then that's something to take in consideration with that 3-to-1 rule. But if they're offering me donuts, I don't want to necessarily take it merely because I'm succumbing to the fear and that I'm afraid they're not going to like me or to be my friend anymore. So really, I just wanted to encourage you guys. You have the permission to tell people no or not now. You don't have to take and eat that donut merely because somebody offers it to you, because in the long run, you're going to end up developing yourself some resentment for it. You may be wasting their time, wasting your time. And really, if they are a friend and or a professional, they're going to understand that, and they're truly going to thank you for not wasting their time. Because oftentimes people will say yes, and they'll eat the donut, they'll have that resentment, their teeth will be aching, but then they just kind of half-heartedly follow through on the act, and that can be way more detrimental for a business relationship or a personal relationship, rather than if you just said no or not now to begin with. So best of luck to you guys on instituting this into your business, I think it's something that you need to sit back and reflect and look at your business plan and identify if there is any way that these people, when they offer you something or they propose something, if they can fit into your plan. But I always come back to the 3-to-1 rule. Just to make sure that everything is going to be fine and dandy. Look to see if they're going to fall into the no or the not now camp. And I wish you guys best of luck. But if you do have any questions about business planning, I want to refer you over to episode 13. It's business planning in 15 minutes or less. And also episode 12, the magic of the client avatar. I evaluate if I'm going to do a relationship with somebody based on also if we have the same audience. I talked extensively about that in episode 18. So you guys can check that out. Those are 3 other episodes that can help supplement this a little bit more. But I just want to wish you guys best of luck, and don't eat the donut if you absolutely don't like the donut, because the aftertaste is not any fun.
Thanks for joining Rachel on this episode of the Business Bites. For show notes, a list of recommended tools, or referenced episodes, you can find them at businessbitespodcast.com. Until next time.